It's now 3 days since Myanmar was struck by a huge 7.7 magnitude earthquake. International humanitarian agencies are stepping up aid deliveries, but are warning of a worsening humanitarian crisis in the war-torn country.
Powerful earthquake devastates Myanmar. A crisis unfolds. A powerful earthquake has shaken Myanmar, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. On Sunday, March 30, a 5.1 magnitude tremor struck near Mandalay, the country's second-largest city, sending residents fleeing in fear. However, this was merely an aftershock of a far more catastrophic disaster. 2 days earlier, a massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake rocked the region, causing widespread devastation. This quake, the most powerful to hit Myanmar in over a century, also affected parts of Bangkok, Thailand, and China. The death toll has already surpassed 1,700, with authorities warning that the true number could rise significantly in the coming weeks. Thousands more have been injured or are still missing as rescue operations continue. The destruction is widespread, particularly in areas near Mandalay, a historic city home to over 1.5 million people. Relief efforts have been severely hampered due to the collapse of a critical bridge over the Ira River, further isolating affected communities in desperate need of assistance. The severity of the crisis has prompted a rare international appeal for aid, with foreign rescue teams now arriving to provide support. In Bangkok, at least 18 people lost their lives due to tremors that caused chaos throughout the city. Among them, 11 perished when a high-rise under construction collapsed within minutes, trapping dozens beneath the debris. Another 7 fatalities were reported across the city, with nearly 9,500 damage reports still being assessed. Search and rescue teams continue their operations, fearing that as many as 80 individuals remain buried under the rubble. The United States Geological Survey, USGS, has issued a grim forecast, warning that the death toll could exceed 10,000 based on early projections. Adding to the crisis, powerful aftershocks, including a significant 6.7 magnitude quake on Friday, have exacerbated both the destruction and public panic. With ongoing seismic activity and thousands left in distress, the need for immediate humanitarian assistance is critical. Authorities and aid organizations are working tirelessly to manage the unfolding disaster, as Myanmar faces one of its most devastating natural calamities in modern history. Myanmar's humanitarian crisis, training for effective disaster response. Myanmar has been grappling with a civil war since 2021, severely straining its healthcare system and critical infrastructure. Millions already faced food and shelter insecurity, but a devastating earthquake has now pushed the nation into an even deeper humanitarian crisis. The disaster has overwhelmed Myanmar's limited emergency response capabilities, highlighting the urgent need for specialized disaster training. Rescue operations are hindered by damaged roads, disrupted communication, and political instability. International aid is arriving, but effective coordination remains a challenge. To mitigate future crises, Myanmar must invest in disaster preparedness, training emergency personnel, improving infrastructure resilience, and developing rapid response strategies. Global organizations and neighboring nations can play a crucial role in equipping local teams with life-saving skills. While immediate relief efforts continue, long-term training and preparedness are vital to ensuring Myanmar can respond swiftly and effectively to future disasters. Understanding the disaster impact. In the rural regions near the earthquake's epicenter, entire villages have been reduced to rubble. Survivors described terrifying moments, homes collapsing around them, violent tremors shaking the land, and loved ones trapped beneath debris. With roads destroyed and communication lines down, rescue efforts have been severely hampered. Many affected communities are now without clean water, electricity, or medical aid. Hospitals and clinics, already under strain due to ongoing civil conflict, are overwhelmed with the injured. Emergency responders, both local and international, are working tirelessly, but the scale of destruction has made their mission incredibly difficult. Landslides triggered by the earthquake have further isolated remote areas, making it nearly impossible for aid to reach those in desperate need. Relief organizations are racing against time to provide food, shelter, and medical care, but logistical challenges persist. Beyond the immediate crisis, the long-term impact of this disaster is immense. Thousands have lost their homes and livelihoods, and rebuilding efforts will take years. The need for coordinated relief, infrastructure repair, and disaster preparedness training has never been more urgent. Myanmar's resilience is being tested, and global support will be crucial in helping the nation recover from this catastrophe. Emergency response and challenges. In the wake of Myanmar's devastating earthquake, the Red Cross and humanitarian organizations have mobilized rapidly, setting up emergency aid stations and distributing food, water, and medical assistance to displaced survivors. However, the sheer scale of destruction has overwhelmed local relief efforts, leading to severe shortages of essential supplies, including medicine, clean drinking water, and temporary shelters. Medical personnel and volunteers are working tirelessly to treat injuries ranging from fractures to severe trauma, but understaffed hospitals and damaged healthcare facilities have made medical care difficult. Many victims remain trapped under rubble, and rescuers face challenges navigating through blocked roads and collapsed buildings. Makeshift shelters have become temporary homes for thousands who have lost everything, but these shelters are overcrowded and lack basic sanitation, raising concerns about disease outbreaks. International support has begun arriving, with neighboring countries like Thailand and India sending specialized rescue teams and essential supplies. The United Nations has also pledged assistance, labeling the situation a humanitarian disaster and calling for global aid. However, Myanmar's ongoing political instability and civil conflict have complicated relief efforts, slowing down coordination and distribution. Logistical challenges, including damaged transportation networks and disrupted communication lines, continue to hinder emergency response teams. In some areas, military and rebel-controlled zones further restrict access, delaying critical aid deliveries. Despite these obstacles, relief workers remain committed to reaching those in need. The road to recovery will be long and arduous. Immediate assistance is crucial, but long-term rebuilding efforts, improved infrastructure, and enhanced disaster preparedness training will be essential to ensure Myanmar can withstand future calamities. With continued global support and strategic planning, the nation can begin to rebuild and recover from this catastrophic event. Training for effective disaster management. The crisis underscores the urgent need for comprehensive disaster response training. Effective emergency management requires 1. Search and rescue training, equipping local teams with the skills to safely extract survivors from rubble. 2. Medical emergency preparedness, training healthcare workers to handle mass casualty situations. 3. Logistics and resource distribution, ensuring aid reaches affected populations efficiently. 4. Crisis communication and coordination, strengthening collaboration between local and international relief agencies. 5. Psychological first aid, providing trauma support for victims and responders. Political and logistical hurdles. Despite the international community's pledges of aid, Myanmar's military leadership continues to maintain strict control over the distribution of foreign assistance. This has complicated the efforts of humanitarian organizations trying to deliver critical relief to the affected population. Political tensions within the country further exacerbate the situation, as military and opposition forces often have conflicting priorities, making coordination incredibly difficult. The centralization of aid distribution in the hands of the military has led to delays and inefficiencies, with some areas not receiving the necessary resources in a timely manner. This has created a bottleneck in rescue operations, leaving vulnerable populations without immediate access to food, medical supplies, and shelter. Humanitarian organizations are being forced to adapt and strategize in response to these obstacles, often working through local partners and finding alternative routes to deliver aid. Effective planning and international diplomacy will be key in overcoming these logistical and political hurdles. Moving forward, the ongoing rescue and recovery operations highlight the resilience of both aid workers and the affected communities. Strengthening disaster preparedness through training and international cooperation will be key to mitigating future crises. As Myanmar navigates this catastrophe, global solidarity and expert disaster response training remain vital in alleviating suffering and rebuilding lives. Global response to Myanmar's devastating earthquake. As survivors brace for further aftershocks in the coming weeks, the search for missing loved ones continues. These critical weeks will determine the true impact of this catastrophic earthquake and Myanmar's ability to recover from one of the deadliest natural disasters in its history. In an unprecedented plea for international assistance, Myanmar's military leadership, typically resistant to foreign intervention, has urgently called for aid. Nations worldwide have responded swiftly, deploying teams and resources to support rescue and relief efforts. China was the first to arrive, delivering $13.8 million in humanitarian assistance, as reported on CCTV. Russia quickly followed, dispatching specialized teams equipped with search dogs, anesthesiologists, and psychologists, according to its Ministry of Emergency Situations. Other nations, including the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Australia, have collectively pledged over $20 million in aid packages. Former U.S. President Donald Trump condemned the disaster as horrific and pledged additional support from the United States. Meanwhile, the United Nations has released an immediate $5 million for relief efforts and is mobilizing emergency response teams. However, the challenges ahead remain daunting. Decades of civil war have left Myanmar's infrastructure fragile, and the earthquake has further weakened critical systems. The affected region includes areas controlled by both military forces and opposition groups, complicating coordination efforts. As the world unites to provide aid, the road to recovery will require strategic planning, resilience, and ongoing global support.